So what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodeau, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen in the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that investigation,
Ori also points out to the investigative gaps that a known passenger was in Lacy's car and was never interviewed. That the body cam video appears to show an officer guiding a witness on what to write. And that the district attorney's report found insufficient evidence that Lacy's actions directly caused the crash.
So, look, don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, address, don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw, just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't know, what the name of that highway?
It's Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just...
Alright, me and my wife won't do that.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's...
Steve Martin, that's what I was even going for. And then in the back of me, she had always angry, that's how she called that record. She was running in the back of me, she pulled on the other side.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? That's why you had to slam on your brake, the head-on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here.
So in that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Oh, and just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's...
But then you hear Gold Truck, the witness who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
Steve Martin, that's what I was even going for. And then in the back of me, she had always angry, that's how she called that record. She was running in the back of me, she pulled on the other side.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me and she pulled into the other side. There's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the Gold Truck.
This is the Gold Truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is Gold Truck number 1 in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is It is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him, and where it says signed, it's not signed, it's refused. But you see, when I have a witness who is the most critical, and he's telling you, I wasn't traveling fast. We know now that he wasn't. The data shows 2 point, and there's a bigger problem. Data shows that. Now he corroborates that. And he goes on to say, I didn't even make a skid mark. That woman behind me, she caused that accident. And you give me this statement that is refused? I got a problem. I got a problem with that. A big one. What he's saying is she had to avoid hitting him. He specifically stated she caused that accident. But I've got an affidavit for arrest warrant right here. Nowhere in here does it say anything that you guys just saw on body cam. To the contrary, about that vehicle, it says the gold truck took evasive action by emergency braking and driving off the roadway to avoid a head-on crash. But you just heard he said, I wasn't even going fast. I didn't even skid mark. So what now he braking are we referring to here? And what the hell was the point of this report? It is complete opposite. I would expect that you'll show this to where they can read what was said versus what was written just minutes earlier.
And just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's...
I ain't skid mark on this, but I wasn't even going fast. And then in the back of me, she had so was heading, and that's how she caused that wreck. She was running in the back of me, she pulled on the other side.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? That's why you had to slam on your brake, the head-on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here. Okay?
By the way, the body cam wasn't on for this statement. It was turned off before obtaining this statement. And this is what we get back.
Local outlets amplified the specifics. HTV interview quotes with the exact distance, and New Orleans and Yuma stations are summarizing this footage. So the defense is not saying that nothing happened. They're saying that our client didn't trigger the physics that unalived Mr. Hall. May he rest in peace. And if that's true, it undercuts the original casual theory. So you guys, that was a lot to take in. It looks like that Kyren's car was nowhere near the impact of the accident. Nowhere near it. And just because he had sped by some cars earlier does not mean that he caused the accident that occurred in front of him. There's a lot of questions with this, but we'll get to that later. Original allegations were no passing, reckless pass, causing others to brake or swerve, and then leaving the scene of an accident. Came from the state police investigation and formed the backbone of the warrant that was used to arrest Kyren. Booking records confirm the courts and the bond, and ESPN reported capturing the early case posture. So there's a counter narrative going on now today, okay? The Reuters write-up notes that the defense's time distance claim and the, quote, arrives nearly 4 seconds later detail. Like, that's huge, guys. That's huge. Because that means that this young boy went through all of this despair and spiraled on that day for no reason. For no reason. People magazine also reports that the DA's analysis did not conclusively tie causation to Lacy. Okay? And there's other news outlets that echo that the 72.6 yards line and the passenger not interviewed was a great point. If you're feeling whiplash, that's because as case narratives evolve, better evidence sometimes surfaces. And timestamps, y'all, they don't lie. They do not lie. So there were people that was left behind with this situation. You had two families, two sets of unbearable grief. The Hall family lost their 78-year-old patriarch. The Lacy family lost a 24-year-old son under a cloud of suspicion. The LSU community and their teammates mourned publicly online. Fans, they argued over fault, fame, and fairness. None of those things are going to bring either of those men back. But that is all of the confusion that is surrounding this story. So let's talk about the investigations. If a passenger wasn't interviewed and a witness was coached, that's not just messy, it's case bending. If time distance analysis shows Lacy was behind the crash at the time of impact, the casual link becomes legally fragile. It doesn't absolve Lacy of speeding or of unsafe passing if those things did occur, but it does challenge the negligent homicide accusation. The DA note of, quote, insufficient evidence for causation as reported, it matters, and it matters a lot. Translation, it sounds like this young man was accused of something that he absolutely, as far as what this evidence is showing, did not do. So this revelation of new evidence that has been allegedly suppressed and witnesses that look like they've been coached has caused outrage. Look at what this one TikToker had to say.
So Kyren Lacy, dead at 24. And now it has came out that it was a full-fledged frame job. Completely, from the top to the fucking bottom. Because you all had the videos. This ain't about, this transcends everything. Football, fucking everything, man. This is just absolutely, I don't know how you atone for this at all. I have no idea. But there's some folks that needs to be arrested, like today, right now. They framed this young man. Completely. Like, without a doubt, no doubt about it, framed this young man. And knew it, had the video showing that he was behind the wreck. And they framed him. So my question is, who was the person that caused the wreck and why? I have a lot of questions, but I don't care about that right now. All I care about is this. The DA involved, any investigators involved, every single one of them. Every single fucking one of them. Arrested. I want them fucking arrested. I'm not taking my foot off the gas on this one. This one right here, I fucking just heard the news, and I watched all the evidence before I made this fucking video. I don't know the particular laws in Louisiana. I don't know how things work, but every fucking person that was involved in this shit, take them that, fucking put them in a RICO, because it's a fucking conspiracy. They all conspired together to do it. It's not about football. As you can see, I'm a fucking Georgia fan. I really didn't know a whole lot about Mr. Lacy. But now that I've learned a lot about him, and then it makes me wonder, how many other fucking people has this happened to? How many fucking times has this ever happened to an athlete? Or anybody? Fucking do better. People, I'm just gonna shut the fuck up right now. This is a miscarriage of justice like I've never seen. Why do you think he took his life? Why do you think he did it? All his dreams were fucking gone because of this frame job.
This is the black woman who caused the accident that resulted in that veteran's life being taken, Mr. Hall. She actually also gave a statement and accused Kyren Lacy, lied on him, which I'm sure was coerced by the police officer as well. But she didn't take accountability from jump. She was lying. So when that alley-oop came, I know it was so much easier for her. She's been posting, very active on social media. But yesterday, she actually deactivated her Facebook and has turned all her comments off on her TikTok. Because as you can guess, people are like, wow, this is crazy. And we need to get his face out there because he needs to be fired. I don't know if he's already been fired, but he needs to be fired for coercing these witnesses into lying so that they can have an open and shut case. We need to call this what it is. And if Kyren Lacy had not been falsely accused of negligent homicide, he would still be alive today and will probably be starting his NFL career, had already started his NFL career. So this is the black...
Wow.
So let's talk about what we know right now.
Whoa.
On December... So let's talk about what we know right now. On December 17th, 2024, in LaForge Parish, there was a crash that resulted in a 78-year-old man passing away. His name was Herman Hall. Again, rest in peace to Herman Hall. There was a warrant put out, and there was a booking that happened on January 10th through the 12th, 2025. Kyren Lacy was booked. He had a $151,000 bond, and his charges included negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a motor vehicle. On April 12th through the 13th, 2025, Houston, authorities say that there was an argument with a family member, and Lacy fired a pow-pow into the ground. And he then got in his car and was gone. After a high-speed chase by the police, he self-deleted before the car, unfortunately, crashed. And now, current day, October 3rd through the 4th, 2025, breaking news that the defense releases a video and an analysis claiming that Lacy was 72.6 yards behind, and he arrived a whole 4 seconds after the impact of the crash, which means that he could not have been the cause of that automobile accident. And there was also things that came out in regards to the DA's assessment. They did not interview a witness that was a passenger in the car of Kyren Lacy's. And it looks like, and alleged, and in my opinion, that the officer was coaching one of the witnesses that was involved in the accident. There's a lot of questions being raised about how he was handled. And then why doesn't his written statement match his verbal statement? And I don't know if y'all heard him, but Attorney Ori said that the body cam footage was cut off during the time that that particular witness was giving his statement. All of these things are adding up to Kyren Lacy possibly being framed or accused of something unfairly and unjustly. So, if the defense is right, if the time distance evidence holds, the story becomes a tragedy without, Lacy should have never been accused. He was accused of speeding, of passing, and that still may be wrong, and that may have occurred. But his speeding and his passing illegally did not cause that accident, and it didn't cause that man, Mr. Paul, to lose his life.
You know, if Kyren Lacy had been going a little bit faster, he would have been the victim instead of Mr. Hall.